Hi, I'm Cher, and I was sexually assaulted by a famous rapper. So my brother, he's a bit older than me. He's 28. He's always been in the music industry, and like growing up, he always took me to concerts, and like when like Musically was a thing and Vine, he took me to all the conventions. Like I was always the person that like had these passes to all these shows. And this rapper was in the area, and I told my brother, hey, I want to go. Like, could you get tickets? Like, I know his manager, like whatever it is.
Like just to what, one of his shows?
Just to one of his shows. Yeah. He was like performing in New York in like a smaller venue, and it was like a last minute show too. He announced it like a few weeks before, and he got me tickets, and I went in, just me and my brother. It was a really good time. He was able to get me backstage to meet this rapper, and the rapper was really nice. Hey, how are you? Asked me how old I was like 2 different times, which I thought was weird, but I was just like not thinking of that. Took a photo with him. He hung out with my brother and I for a little bit, and that was it. I got to enjoy the show. So without hesitation, posted the photos. I was so proud that I met this person. I was so excited because a lot of people in like my town were obsessed with him.
Yeah.
Go back home, I posted. Same minute that I posted, he liked the photo. That was it. A week or 2 goes by, and he followed me on Instagram, and I was like so excited about it. I was telling all my friends about it. I was like, this person just followed me. Like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
A few hours later, he followed me and messaged me, and he was like, hey, how old are you again?
So he's a rapper.
Yes.
And then does he live in New York, or like I guess is all over because
I would say he was born in Granada Hills, California.
Okay.
And I think now or after that he was living in Los Angeles.
Got it.
But he was on tour. He was doing like a mini tour because his album came out.
And what like are you going to say the ages? Like
he was, I think when this happened, he was 21 or 22. I was 15.
Okay.
So I had just turned 15 the month before.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I was a kid. I was, I was living my best life.
So he messaged you.
Yeah, he messaged me and he asked me how old I was. And I was like, hey, like I'm 15. And he was like, oh, like you're from New York, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm from here. And I was like trying to like control my excitement. I was like, I can't seem like a weirdo. Like
fangirl.
Yeah, like a fangirl. Yeah. And he was like, oh, like I need friends. Like you seem like a genuine person. Like you look like you'd be a great friend. And I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, like we could be friends. Like I was so excited. I was like, he must be my friend. I gave him my number and he started texting me all the time. And within like the first 2 weeks of him texting me, he asked me for my age maybe 15 times. And I think the reason why he kept asking was he was expecting the answer to change.
Okay. Like you told him the truth in the beginning. I told him the truth.
Okay. Yeah, always 15. I had braces. I looked 15. I had a baby face, and he just kept asking. And apart from that, he would be flirty, but not too flirty at the start. Like he would always just be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He'd FaceTime me from tour. He went live on Instagram. He would guest me all the time. Like he wasn't like hiding it.
Okay.
It was like he was very open about it. When the tour ended, he just started dating a different famous musician.
Okay.
And I stopped getting responses from him and he unfollowed me. I was like, I don't care, whatever. Right. I was a little upset. I was like, damn, like I was a fan, like whatever. And I guess there was a music festival in Long Island. I forgot what it was called, but it happens every year in the summer. It's like a summer festival. And he was performing. The day before the concert, I get a follow back on Instagram and I get a text, hey, you're from New York, right? And I was
from him again?
From him. Yeah, he reached out when he was in New York.
Okay.
And I was like, I didn't answer. I was upset. I was like, he unfollowed me, whatever. Like now he's back. And
but also like you already know I'm from New York. And if you didn't remember that, fuck you.
Exactly. And like he obviously went out of his way to like, it's in my Instagram bio that I was from New York. Like my high school is in my bio. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But he messaged me and I was like, yeah, I'm from here. He's like, do you want to see me? Like, can I see you? I was like, you have a girlfriend. And this was like a very public relationship that he had. Like they put out a song together. They like were joining each other on tour. Like he was seen at like her parents' house. Like her parents were very successful as well. Like it wasn't like a little like fling. They were open. Yeah. And I told him that and he was like, she doesn't have to know. She flies in tonight. Like just come see me. And I was like, I can't come to the city. Like my mom won't let me. Like I'm 15. My mom's like, you're not going to the city at like 8 p.m. Like stay home. And he was like, what if like I pay for your Uber? And I was like, you're not paying for it. I was like, I can't. I wish. Do you want to come to Brooklyn? And he was like, I can't do that. My manager won't let me. And like, that was it. Next day, I have like screenshots of everything, whatever. Cause I sent it to my friend and I was like, I was so confused. All his messages begin to unsend to me in the morning. And I'm blocked by his girlfriend in the morning. And I was just like, okay, good. I was like, whatever. Like, I didn't care. I was 15.
So I'm glad she found out. Okay.
As she should. Like, go through his phone. Like, you can't trust men. But that happened. And it was just like radio silent for like 2 months. They break up. It was a big public breakup. He refollows me on Instagram because he unfollowed me that week. refollowed me, starts messaging me. He's like, I'm so depressed. Like, she cheated on me. Like, I need a friend. Like, I was such a bad friend to you. Like, I need a friend. And I was like, I'm like a little confused. I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, like, I'll be your friend. Like, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. This time around, he begins calling me every single day. He calls me like high out of his mind to the point where like I can't even understand what he's saying. And I didn't know how to react. Like, I just like make up, like I would just respond to what he's saying because I'm like, I don't know what else to say. Like, he's mumbling into the phone and he's like talking. And like, it's just like, it never went anywhere. And he started texting me, and every time he was high, he would like text me very flirtatious to the point where like it made me uncomfortable. And I told him it was making me uncomfortable. And he just didn't care. He didn't give a shit. Like, he just continued to do it. And I remember there was one day where he was like, why aren't you flirting with me? Like, I'm flirting with you. I was like, I don't know what to say. Like, I was like, I don't know what you want me to tell you, like whatever it is. And he was like, how old are you again? And I told him. And he didn't care. He was like, I like them young. He's like, I don't care. And I was like, that's a little weird. And beforehand, I had girls messaging me because they saw him in my comments and they were like, are you talking to him? Like, watch out. And I was like, no, like, he's just my friend. Like, he's my friend. Don't worry about it. Like, I was like, what am I going to say? Because I didn't see him as anything else.
Right.
And this is when I used to do Musical.ly. I don't know if you remember that app. I was on a Musical.ly. I went on tour for Musical.ly. I was friends with like a lot of these musers, whatever. So I was in LA a lot. The first time I went to LA was with my brother, and then after with my friends, whatever it is. I went with one of my friends, and he messaged me, hey, like, are you here? Like, let's hang out. Like, I'll take you to dinner. Like, let's go out, me and my friends. You, like, it won't be like anything crazy. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, like, could my friend come? He's like, don't bring your friend. Like, he's like, my manager has to approve everyone. Yeah. And I was like, so he approved a 15-year. I was like, right. It didn't make sense to me, but I was like, okay. Also, he didn't have a manager at this point, so I don't know. He just didn't want my friend to come. So I went to his house and all his friends were there. Like, it wasn't like weird in any way. And he wanted to go out to dinner. We went to Saddle Ranch, weirdest restaurant in the world. We went there and we were all eating. And the entire time he has his hand on my thigh. And like, he's like touching me in front of like paparazzi. Like, he does not care. And I'm just like so uncomfortable. And there's a few other YouTubers there, weirdly enough, like some people from like the David Dobrik friend group. And they're all taking Snapchats. And I'm just like going like this. Like, I don't want to be seen because if my brother sees me with him, it's game over. Yeah. So I'm like trying to be hidden. I was like, I don't want anyone to see.
Because you were still 15 at this point. I was 15.
Okay. If my brother knew, like, he'd be like, what the hell are you doing with him? Like, right. And like, I knew I was wrong for hanging out with him, but I was also like just like excited that he wanted to be my friend. Like, that's something I could acknowledge. I was like, you know what? Like, he wanted to go out to eat, like introduce me to all these YouTubers. Like, it was a good time. But like, one thing with me is like, and he would always tell me, I love how like you don't care like about clout. Like, you never let me post you. Like, well, I'm 15. Like, you didn't even want to post me, so don't even begin to lie. Yeah. But like, at the whole dinner, like, I'm just hiding my face from all the cameras. Like, you could just see me in all the videos going like this because I just don't want to be seen by anyone. I don't want anyone to assume anything. I don't want to get shitted on by his fans. Like, I was very much like hiding, even knowing him. And we went to dinner, and after, he wanted to go to one of his producer's house, and that's where it began like getting really weird. We went to his producer's house, and his producer was there. The producer's girlfriend, she was really sweet, and it was him and me. And the producer's like smoking. He offered me to smoke, and I was like, I don't really smoke. Like, no, thank you. And he's like, no, just smoke. Like, don't be a pussy. Like, you act like older than you are. Like, smoke. And I was like, okay. I smoked, and I'm a very paranoid smoker. I have the worst anxiety ever. Yeah, same. And when I smoke, the first thought that goes through my head is like, my mom's gonna find me. Even though I'm like across the country, I'm like, my mom's gonna show up right now, and I'm gonna be grounded for the rest of my life. And he had me smoking, whatever, and I got tired immediately. I was like, I need to leave. Like, I want to Uber home. And he's like, I'll just drive you. And I was like, you're like drunk out of your mind. You're not driving me. And then he's like, so I'll get you an Uber. And I was like, okay, so order me the Uber. And he was like, no, like, you have to come back to my place first. And I was like, I'm not doing this right now. Like, I Ubered myself home. Like, I didn't talk to him for the rest of that trip. I was really uncomfortable. I ended up going back another time to LA, and he wanted to meet up. And this time, like, I like was at his house for longer. Like, we didn't go out. He's like, just come over. Like, I don't want to go out. Like, my car, like, I don't have license plates yet. Like, a bunch of excuses, basically. Right. We went to his house, and like, I was sitting with his like producer friends, and like, his producer friends like always knew it was weird. He has one of like his main people that live in the house. He's a DJ as well. Every time I would be over and he would hear me upset or like hear like this rapper yelling at me, he would like call me into the hallway and be like, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? And this guy was friends with my brother. So I got backstage to the show because of this guy.
Yeah.
So I feel like in a way he felt like he needed to like be there for me because he knew my brother.
Mm-hmm.
But he would always check up on me. He'd be like, do you need anything? Like, you don't have to smoke if you don't want to. Like, if you want to go home, I'll drive you. And like, that's why I even felt comfortable there in the first place. I was like, if anything happens, he's here. Like, I'm safe. Like, he's here. And whatever, like that week was also his birthday. So I went back home. It wasn't like weird that day. He wanted me to come back the day of his birthday. And I came back, and that was, I think, like when everything literally began going to shit. I went there for his birthday, and the day prior that I was there, he was trying to sleep with me, and I was like, no, like I don't, like, not yet, like your birthday, whatever, like I don't want to, like whatever. When it came to his birthday, like he was like, we're not leaving my house until we fuck. He's like, we're gonna fuck, then we could go wherever you want. And I was like, like I was a virgin. I never had sex with anyone. I think the most I've ever done was like kiss someone. I was like in a very uncomfortable spot, and I was like, you know what, I'll just like push him off and push it off until like we leave eventually. So we were like in his room, like we were like watching a movie, and he kept trying to make a move on me, and I was like, no, like not yet, like I don't want to. And at first he respected it. He was fine with it. An hour later, this was like really weird. He brought me like into his living room, and the guy that always checks up on me is there. The other producer and like 2 other guys, don't know who they are. And he's like, let's smoke. And I was like, no, like I don't want to smoke. Like, I'm going to get tired. I don't want to. Now now that I've smoked the amount that I have, I'm not like obsessed with it. But like, you know, like, I know how I am when I'm high. Whatever I smoked that day was not weed. I don't know what it was. I was hallucinating. I was on the ceiling. Like I was like slow dancing in his like his house. Like I don't know what that was, but it wasn't weed. Like, and I took one hit. Like I shouldn't have been like going that. I shouldn't have been like off my shit like that. Like I didn't even know what I was doing. Like I remember we were like slow dancing, and he was telling me, we're gonna get married one day. Like I'm gonna marry you. This is gonna be our song. And I'm just like, I couldn't even speak back to him. Like words weren't coming out. And we eventually go back to his room, and he brings a bunch of beer. He's like, do you want to drink? And I was like, no.
This is all the same night.
This is his birthday day. Yeah. So like this, like I got to him in the morning. He's like, we're not leaving till we're fucking. And then we smoke eventually. And now here we are. And like this was like I would say like the longest day of my life. Like it, like I felt like it wasn't ending because of whatever it is that he gave me. And we go back to his like room, and he's drinking. We were watching his own concert on the TV. This is the weirdest thing. He wanted to watch his concert. We were watching it. His Mexico show. Don't know why. We were watching it. And he was like trying to talk to me, like he kept trying to be touchy, and I was like, no, whatever. And eventually he just like, I was like, I guess like spaced out, and he just started like pinching at my skin. And I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm like, what are you doing? This isn't even, I've never seen anyone do this. And he's like, why won't you have sex with me? And I was like, because I don't want to. And he's like, but you came here, what, like you lied to me? Like you're really gonna lie to me like that? I was like, what are you saying? I was like, no one lied to you. Like, what? He's like, you're really not gonna fuck me? Like I like brought you here, like I picked you up from your Airbnb, and you're not gonna fuck me. And I was like, it was never like an established thing. Like I'm not ready. Like I'm just not ready. And he's like, I don't get it. Like, have you never had sex before? And I was like, I don't want to talk about this. Like I was like, can we just like not, like we're fine, let's just watch a movie. And that's when he became like very aggressive, because he was mad that I guess he wasted his whole day with me, and he wasn't getting anything. And he was like, it's my birthday, like this could be my birthday gift, like you didn't get me anything, like come on, like don't be annoying. And he kept trying to pressure me, whatever. And then he began kissing me. I was like, you know what, if I could kiss him, maybe he won't try anything else. Like he just needs something, like he needs something, and he'll stop. And he started trying to take off my clothes, and I was like, D, like I don't want to do this, like please, like whatever, it's fine. And he's like, just let me for 5 minutes and I'll never ask you again. And I was like, I don't know, like I'm scared. Like I'm like, do you even have protection? He's like, no. And I'm like, so like no, like that was like my scapegoat out. I was like, you don't have protection, like I'm not doing this, like I can't get pregnant.
So did any part of you like, did you like, because I know that you said like in your mind you viewed him as a friend, but like did any part of you like look at him like, I guess in more of like that like flirty physical way? Like
it's weird because he was flirty and physical before his birthday, and I just always like forgave him. I'm like, maybe this is like the thing, like like maybe he's just being nice. Like I always had excuses for him until this day. Like,
so like you think you liked him more as a friend than like okay.
I think like I'll never lie, like I was so excited that he wanted to be friends with me. Like I was like 15 years old. I was like, this rapper, like my friends like loved him. I thought it was so cool I was even hanging out with him, and I like looked up to him. Like I remember like there was one night I was having like the worst panic attack ever, and he stayed on the phone with me for like an hour. Like I was like looking at those things, and I was like, he would never hurt me. Like he's not being creepy. I'm just definitely taking it the wrong way.
I think too, like being 15. I mean, I was doing my thing at 15. But at the same time, if you have no sexual experience, really, it's like, how do you really know?
How do I like
know what you like? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I feel like too, even if you did like him, that's still I mean, I remember looking back when I first was going to lose my virginity. It's a scary thing. It's not something you're just like, close off, let me hop on, because you have no experience. So it's like, what do you really know about it?
Yeah.
Okay. I just was curious if you liked him as like a friend or if you like kind of had a crush, but like
I would say I liked him as a friend, but I had like a celebrity crush.
Right. Like the fangirl kind of thing.
I love Justin Bieber, but is he ever going to leave Haley for me? No.
Right. Okay.
Like, you know, it's kind of like, I feel like I looked up to him because like, wow, like he's like this person. Like, and at the time I was like in social media and I was like, oh wow, like he even told me, he's like, one day, like, let's collaborate, like I'll fly you out. Like he kind of fed into like all that social media stuff with me and like allowed it to happen. And I feel like I always say this, like I feel like if I had like a public school experience or like that type of experience, I would have maybe seen it differently or like stepped away. But I grew up, like I did online school. I didn't really have friends. Like when he reached out to me, I was like, oh fuck, like this is like such a good friend to start with. Like, I was on virtual school. I feel like all my friends who were like in public school, like they had their first kiss in public school. They had like, they slept with the first person, like whatever. Like my first my first kiss, it was a kid from Musically in like Philadelphia. Like, cause we were on tour. Like no one just has that. Like no one just has their first kiss in like a different state for no, like.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I feel like my whole perception of like relationships and love and whatever was so like,
and even friendships for that matter. Yeah. It's
because like everything was just like with Musically, like everyone was friends with each other. Like everyone was like dating each other for like the bit.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was talking to this kid once and he was like, oh, like my dad said we should do this. Like his dad was his manager. Like his dad said like he should comment on another girl's picture and like start up stuff so like it'd get on T pages. I'm like, this is not normal.
Right.
I was like, my sister and her boyfriend would never do all this. Yeah. Like it just I think it just like fucked up like my whole perception of love and relationships and friendships and like I never had friends where I lived. I always had to fly to places. Or like I'm in Maryland right now. My friend Calvin's from here. Like I didn't have friends in New York.
Right.
So he was like saying, I'll fly you out. I'll come to you. Like people in that industry were able to do that because they had that money to do that. Whereas like I was just beginning on social media. Like I didn't have the money to just fly wherever, whenever I wanted.
Right.
But like my friends, like I always kept my friends like in the loop with what was happening with him because they thought it was interesting, but they also thought it was creepy.
Yeah.
So like Calvin, for example, he would always tell me like, Cher, like you're 15. Like why are you talking to this dude? And I'm like, no, like he just wanted a friend. And Calvin's like, no, like this is weird. Like he doesn't view you as a friend. And I'm like, look at the messages. Like, look, he's being a good friend. And he's like, he's flirting with you. And I'm like, no, he's like, where? And he's like, look right. And I was so blind. Like I didn't see it because I was like, wow, like I convinced myself he just wanted to be a friend.
Got it. Okay.
Like I fully like was in the delusion where like I just kept trying to like hide whatever it was. And I didn't want to accept the fact that he was grooming me.
Yeah.
Because it was like, it should have been a red flag to me that he was asking me for my age 20 times.
Yeah.
Like he asked me my age maybe once a week. Like as if like it was going to change to 18 in a day. Like he knew what he was doing.
Right.
So like when I was at his apartment, like I reminded him, I was like, listen, like I'm about to be 16. Like I'm 16 basically. Like I'm like I don't want to do this.
Yeah. And he knew you were a virgin, right?
Oh, yeah. I was very open about it. Like I didn't care. It was like that was like my excuse to wait too. I was like, I'm a virgin. Like I don't want to get pregnant. Like I'm scared. Like because I didn't know better. No protection. Because like he was like, oh, they're expired. Like the condoms are expired. And I was like, okay, so we're not gonna have sex. Like and he was like, no. Like I'm good. Like I'll pull out. I'm like, I don't understand what that means. I'm like, what do you mean pull? Like I was 15. I was like, I don't know what that means. And like he would tell me all these things and like try to do all these things and like I just didn't understand. So like that night on his birthday, like that's when I guess like he had like enough. He like did not want to wait. Like he just spent his birthday with me when like he could have been at like a club with like 20 other girls. And he just like went for it. Like he began taking off my clothes. I was like, listen, like fine, I'll take them off, but I don't want to do anything. And he's like, don't worry, I won't. And that's like when he just like pinned my arms down and just like did it anyways. I remember I kept telling him, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. He's like, just like a few more minutes. And like he was like struggling. I guess like now that I like learned about it or whatnot, like I guess my body rejected him because he was struggling so hard. He's like, I can't get myself inside of you. He's like, could you help me? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I was like, I don't even know where like to put, like, I don't know. Like I was 15.
Yeah.
And like my body was just rejecting and he was getting more and more aggressive and he like just started getting really aggressive with me because he couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, like he left a bunch of bruises just like from pinching me. He would bite me really hard. Like there was a few times where like, we would smoke like that day and the next day where he would just like burn me like his cigarettes. Like I guess like from that point on, he just hated me. Like that made him like resent me.
So you like he wasn't able to have sex with you.
He did, but like he was struggling.
It was
like he was for like I want to say like about 10 minutes to the point where like he just gave up and he's like, fuck this. He's like, I don't want to do this. Like he's like, I don't know why you're not helping me.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not gonna help you rape me. Like in what world am I gonna help you rape me? Like,
right.
And I remember after that, I was like, I want to go home. Like I put my clothes on. I was like, I want to go home. Like you said, you would take me home after. Take me home. He's like, I'm not taking you home. And I was like, please, like just take me home. Like I don't want to take an Uber right now. It's 1 a.m. And this was like in Granada Hills. Like I was scared of getting sex trafficked. I was like, just drive me and it'll be fine. And I was like, is your friend here? Like he'll take me because he always said if I needed anything. He's like, no, he's away for the weekend. He went to go see family. And I was like, so could you just drive me? Like, please, like, I'll pay you. Just take me home. He's like, no, figure out your own way home.
And what's crazy too is like you said, like he could be out, I'm sure, with like a bunch of other girls. But it's like, it's almost, I feel like it proves how weird it is. The fact that he wanted to just keep hanging out with somebody he really didn't even have the experience or interest. Yeah. It's like, why waste your time if that isn't like a sick, twisted fetish that you have?
And I know a lot of people in LA have like been with him and a lot of minors have. Okay. Because once I came out with my story, like I had maybe a dozen girls message me and like a few girls told me he was on the tour bus, he did this or he did this. And they're like, we don't have photos. Like if we go to the police, they won't do anything. And like I understood because I went to the police with photos and they didn't do anything. Yeah. So it's like he knew he was gonna get away with it. He has in the past. I think that's why he was so comfortable. I never understood why he like liked me the way he did because like I don't think I was like I wasn't attracted. I was 15 years old. I looked like a child. I had braces. Like
right, but that was
I wasn't
thing,
developed.
Obviously.
Yeah, I wasn't like I didn't have boobs. Like I was not like developed like whatsoever.
Right.
Like, I was in high school. Like I didn't have any experience. I didn't even know how to flirt with him. Like I didn't know how to flirt with a man. Like I didn't know what to do. Yeah. And he just took advantage of that. And after that trip, I remember like I like went home and me being 15, I didn't know how like a pregnancy test worked. I took one the next day thinking it was going to tell me if I was pregnant or not. Yeah. And like it said, like I wasn't and whatever. My cousin was like, you need to wait 2 weeks. Like just wait. And I remember 2 weeks later, I took 2 tests and both of them came out like error message and like they weren't working. So then I went to like urgent care afterwards, but I texted him. I was like, hey, like I have not gotten my period. It's been 2 weeks. Like I'm just like, I'm going to urgent care. I'm going to do a test. If I am pregnant, I'm going to abort it. Like, whatever it is. Because I wasn't getting my period. Yeah. And I went to urgent care. And he texted me before I went to urgent care. He's like, who is this? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, call me. And I called him while I was with my cousin. And he was like, why are you texting me that? Like, we never did anything. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I've never even met you. And I was like, what are you saying? And he's like, why are you saying we fucked? Like, I don't, like, why are you texting me those things? Like, I don't understand. And I was like, are you serious right now? And he was like, listen, like, I don't have time for this. Like, whoever you are, goodbye. Hung up. And I was like, my cousin looked at me and I was like, she's like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I was like in shock. I was like, I didn't think, like, he was texting me like the day after that, like, I miss you so much, like, whatever. And I wasn't answering him. So, like, whatever, I was like, my cousin was like, just fuck him, like, just go to urgent care, make sure, whatever. I told my mom I was going to do a COVID test, went to urgent care, did my pregnancy test, and it came out, like, negative, and I told the girl at urgent care, like, what happened and whatever, and I'm kind of upset because I told her I was raped, I told her everything, and she didn't put it in, like, my notes. So when the police took a look at it, they're like, oh, you took a pregnancy test, but they didn't put any notes down. And I think that really crushed me because I went back and I'm like, I literally told this woman everything. Why is it not in this? And they're like, oh, like, we don't know. Like, I was just like, that's very, like, right. Like, that could have like, helped my case.
Like, right. It could have been like proof from that time.
Exactly. Yeah. And I didn't talk to him, I think, after that for like a year. Okay. I went like no contact. I stopped answering him. Like, I didn't want to speak to him. And there was another time I went to LA and he's like, I wanted to apologize. He called me and
what like, did he know you were in LA or something?
This time it was like my last day there. So I don't know how he knew I was there. Okay. It was my last day there. I was leaving that day and he texted me, can I see you? And I was like, why? And he's like, I need to talk to you. I was like, call me. He's like, no, you're going to yell at me. I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, call me. Like, what? Like, if you want to say something, say it now. And he's like, I'm sorry. Like, I miss you so much. Like, you were such a good friend. Like, I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know if I like offended you. Like, why don't you text me anymore? Like, whatever it is. He's like, when are you leaving today? And I was like, I leave tonight. And he's like, can I take you out to eat? And I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm so uncomfortable with everything. He's like, please, like, let me. And I think this is where I fucked up, because when I told the police this, they were just kind of like, why'd you go back? Like, if it's true, why did you go back?
Right. Did you bring up anything about like how he hung up on you and acted like he didn't know you?
So that's what I guess he was apologizing for. I was like, why were you so, on the phone, I was like, why were you being so mean? Like, why did you talk to me like that? He's like, I don't know. Like, I was just scared. Like, I was scared you were going to try to like baby trap me. Like, people have tried to do that in the past. I'm like, the way that if I was pregnant, like, I would have gotten an abortion like that day if I could. Like, I wouldn't have even asked you for money. I don't need your money. Right. Like, I was calling you just in case, like, and you treated me that way. And he's like, yeah, like, let me make it up for you. Like, let me take you out, whatever. Like, I'll take you out and I'll take you to the airport. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, fine. Yeah. He's like, just come to my house and like, I'll drive us. Like, I have my car. Like, I got my license plates. Like, whatever. I'm fine. Got to his house and he's like, I need to wait for my assistant. She has my registration. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I was like, I don't know why. Like, it's always something with the car. Like, we can never leave his house. I was like, I don't really want to do this. And like, at this point, his house was like all packed up. Like, he was ready to go. I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'll just go home. Like, we'll see each other a different day. He's like, no, my assistant's going to be here in 10 minutes tops. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, if it's not in 10 minutes, I'm Ubering. It was daytime. I didn't care to Uber. And he's like, okay, come to my room. Like, come look. I packed everything. Like, I'm moving. Did I show you the house I'm moving to? And at this point, he was like collaborating with like some app. And like, I guess they were like moving him out of that house. Okay. So like, I guess he was moving. And he brought me to his room and he's like, do you want to smoke? And I was like, God, no. Right. After, like, I learned my lesson. Last time. Yeah. I was like, no, thank you. And he was like, why not? I was like, I don't want to. I was like, really? Like, stop. Like, I don't want to. And he's like, okay, like, suit yourself, whatever. We're sitting. He's like, how have you been? How's your brother? How's your family? Like, how's all these people? And I was like, everyone's good. Like, you know, whatever. I'm about to graduate high school. Like, and he was like, oh, wow, congrats. He's like, what do you want for your graduation gift? And I was like, I don't want anything. It's fine. He's like, what do you want? Cartier, Rolex? I'll get you anything. I was like, no. I was like, I don't want anything from you. It's really fine. Yeah. Like, I don't need one single thing from you. He's like, suit yourself. Like, you're being so mean to me right now. And I was like, I just like don't need you to buy me things. Right. And he's like, you know what? That's one thing I liked about you. You always paid when we went out. Like, I would pay. Because I don't want him to ever say I was a clout chaser. His money, whatever. Like, anywhere we went, we paid except for this Saddle Ranch. Apparently, like, he didn't pay and he didn't tip. Like, he left. And I found out when I went with my friend on that trip, and I ended up, it was our server, and she was like, that was like really weird. Like, you were with him. Like, were you guys together? And I was like, yeah. She's like, why did I serve you alcohol? You look like you're a minor. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. And she's like, you know, he never paid in tip. And I left like a $300 tip that day. So like, he obviously didn't like to pay. He was just kind of like, he thought he could do whatever he wants. But I always paid for us. Like, if like I think we took an Uber once or twice. I paid. Like, I did not want it to ever be a thing that I was like I wanted money from him, because like that's not the case. Right. Like, I grew up with like my brother having all these rappers around us, and like the way they spoke about women and like what you see online, like whenever a girl like leaves a guy, he's like, fuck her, like she's a gold digger. Like, men, especially in that industry, are just so terrible. So he was just like trying to offer me things, and I didn't understand why. And he was like, where do you want me to take you today? Like, I'll get you anything you want. Today's your day. Like, this is my apology to you. And I was like, I don't want anything. Like, please, like, don't worry. Like, I'm going home today. Like, it's fine. And then he was like, remember when we fucked? Like, I don't know. He just like was like, remember when we fucked? And I was like, I was like, yeah. And he's like, that was fun, huh? And I was like, no. He's like, why don't you think so? And I was like, I cried. I was like, I cried a lot. He's like, yeah, but it's because you liked it. And I was like, no. I was like, that's not the case either. And he was like, I don't, like, are you just like scared of sex? I was like, no, I just like didn't want to have it yet. And like, I even have messages where like he would text me, like after like we had sex that one time, he texted me and he was like, did you have a good time? Like, you were so hot. Like, you were so wet for me. And I was like, and I literally texted him back. I was like, I don't want to talk about this. And he's like, why? And I was like, because like, I'm not comfortable talking about this. Like, I didn't want it. And he said, okay. And like, ignored me for the rest of the week. Like, whenever I would upset him, he would ignore me and get aggressive with me and get mean to me. So like, on this trip, like, I guess like he got mad that I was saying that I didn't want it. And he's like, are you accusing me of raping you? And I was like, I'm not having this conversation. I was like, I don't want to have this conversation. And he was like, no, like, say it. Like, I'd say you want to, like, that you think that, like, say that I raped you. And I was like, no, like, it's fine. And he's like, do you think I groomed you? And I was like, kind of, like, I don't know. And he was like, I don't think so. He's like, you're mature for your age. And I was like, yeah, but it's still grooming. And like, he just like was like, okay, I just wanted to know what you thought. And like I was like, I told Calvin, and Calvin's like, if he asked you if you were groomed, he knows he groomed you.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that would just be a question that just came out of thin air. Like he knew he groomed me.
Yeah. So these were texts before where you were at that point in his room again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was like out loud. He asked me if I was groomed in person.
Okay.
Like in real time. He asked me. He just like kind of stared at me, and I told him, I was like, I think so. And he's like, but you're mature for your age. And I was like, I am, but I don't know. Like that's what it means. And he's like, what does it even mean? And he just like starts looking up what it means in front of me. And I was just like, yeah, like this is fucked up. Like that's like when it hit me. I was like, this is really bad. Like he groomed me. And like I would have all my friends telling me that. Like even after like the rape, I just kind of like didn't acknowledge that I was raped. I was like, maybe I did want it. I was like, maybe I let him on. Like I never told anyone I was raped. Like I like kept it in. Like just Calvin knew because I called him after like crying. But like I never really told anyone I was raped because I didn't think I got raped. I was like, maybe like I did lead him on and I'm a piece of shit for that. And like I could have not shown up, but I went. Because I knew immediately if I were to come out about it, they'd be like, oh, why'd you go? Like if he was older, why did you even entertain it? And like to me, it's just because I thought it was cool that he was messaging me. I didn't know any better. And that last trip I saw him, that's when I guess he got mad that I like insinuated that he raped me. And this was like the last time I saw him. And like he hit me like really bad. I don't think like I've ever been like abused by anyone. Like my parents never like no one's ever laid their hands on me until this man right here.
So did he hit you in the face?
He would always slap me across the face. And I would tell him like this like hurts. He's like, I'm just playing with you. I'm like, no, like it fucking hurts. I'm like, I'm like he would like soccer punch me in the face. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, like that's funny. And I'm like, no, like he even did it in front of his friends at like the producer's house. Like he would just like in front of friends just slap the shit out of me. And I was like, this is not normal. And like they wouldn't even react. They wouldn't even flinch. Like if I was like in a room and I see someone getting punched in the face, I would call the cops. I don't know what I would do. Like I would not just like be there like, oh, like that just happened. Like I guess his friends were like accustomed to it, or like they were used to seeing it that they didn't react. And like during the first time he raped me, it was just kind of like he had a thing about pinching me. I don't know, but it would always leave bruises, and he would bite me really hard till I pretty much bled. But like and he would like always slap me. But this last trip, like he just wouldn't stop hitting me. Like he was just hitting me, and he was like, I just don't understand. And I was like, it's hurting. Like I was like, stop, please. Like I would try to push him away, and he's like, it doesn't hurt. Like why are you? I'm just like playing around with you. I'm like, but why is the playing around lasting like 10 minutes? Like why aren't you done? Like why? Like this isn't playing around. He just kept doing it. And I remember like I was in one of his hoodies, and we were like, he was about to like take me home, and he had like a cigarette, and he just like right before he took me, he just like burned me. And I was like, what the fuck was that for? Like I did nothing. I was like, what was that for? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I just my head told me to do it. So like he just didn't care. I think like he's done it with a lot of people, and I know other women have come out about him doing things, but no one ever takes it seriously. Like when I went to the cops, like they believed it because I had photos of all the bruises he'd leave on me. But then he would tell people that it was hickeys. And I was like, a hickey looks like one thing, a bruise looks like one thing. Yeah. Like these bruises are like huge, green, yellow. Like he left them everywhere on my body. I had bruises going down my arms, down my thighs. Like
right. So that last time you saw him, he didn't rape you again, right? It was like, but he was just beating me. Okay. I guess. And that was the last time you saw him?
That was the last time I saw him. So it was that before he like, I guess like raped me, like he like fucked me, I guess. And when I saw him before that, that's when he was nice. He forced me to give him head that time. But it was like it didn't last long because I wasn't doing a good job because I was 15. Yeah. But I remember like we were like, that was like the one thing the cops really cared about, that because I guess I was like my youngest state. I was like just turned 15. And like we were in his room, and he's like, why don't you just give me head right now? I was like, no, like it's fine. Like I don't know how to. And he's like, just like try. Like I'll teach you. And I was like, no. And he forced me for maybe 10 seconds before he just like let me go. And he's like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know you didn't want to do it. And I was like, I told you I literally didn't want to do it. Yeah. Like, it's not. So it's like every time that he would do something, it'd kind of be like, oh, my bad. Like, I'm just playing around with you. Yeah. That was like his go-to line. I'm playing. Like, why are you getting so mad? Like, why are you going crazy on me? Right. So he would always just make up excuses. And I felt like I was crazy. I'm like, okay, he was playing around with me. Like, maybe like this is normal. Whereas like, I grew up in a household where like obviously it was like loving. My parents loved each other. Like my sister and her husband like loved each other. They've never hit each other, never even yelled at each other. And here I am like having a 22, 23-year-old man like attacking me and hitting me, and like me having to go home like nothing happened.
Right.
Like I had to just go home and act like it didn't happen, and I would just like sit and think, and then whenever I would finally like convince myself, oh, like he groomed me, or oh, like this is bad, he would text me, hey, I hope you're having a good day, like, and then it made me think, oh, maybe I am overthinking it. Like, why am I gonna put him in this spot? Like, I don't want to like accuse someone if they didn't do something.
Mm-hmm.
And I like put it into perspective. I put together a timeline just for myself. I put the photos together. I looked through the messages again.
So this was like after the last time. Okay.
I put everything together. I'm like, holy fuck. Like,
did you hear from him after that last time?
He tried texting me a few times, and he continued to follow me on Instagram. I didn't follow him back.
Okay.
He swiped up on a few stuff on my Instagram with like a heart eye emoji. Didn't answer. At this point, I like put a timeline together. I'm like, this is so fucked up.
Right.
I'm done.
Also, like the experiences went from like being friends and like you idolizing him to more so like toxic and scary.
Yeah. And like his friends would still hit me up, and at that point I made sure to like never see him. Like I would go out of my way like to make sure he wasn't at places I was going.
And your brother and family did not know still?
No. Okay. So they didn't know at this point. I was still going to LA at this point. I was like 17, about to turn 18. And I remember like me and my friend went to a party, and I remember I texted the person who was throwing it. I'm like, is this person gonna be here? Because he goes to all these parties. He just like, he's bored, he goes, whatever it is. He's allowed to, whatever. They're like, no, he wasn't invited, but his friends are here. And I'm like, which friends? And it was just like the one that would always check up on me. So I was like, okay, you know what? Like maybe I should go, and I should even talk to him. So I went to this party, and he was the first person I saw. He hugged me. He's like, why don't I see you anymore? Like whatever. I'm like, you don't know what happened? He's like, no, what? I was like, and I explained everything to him, and he's like, you didn't deserve that. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, the 1 or 2 times like it happened, you weren't there. So like I couldn't like come to you. He's like, if I was there, I would have gotten you out of it. Like, I'm really sorry. Like if I had known, like, I don't know. Like, does your brother know? And I was like, no. Like he doesn't know. He's like, do you want me to tell him? I'm like, no. Like I was like, that took for me to say like, it's fine. Like he genuinely cared. That's like the one thing I took from this. Like whenever I went to the cops or my lawyer, like I'm like, this is the person. Like if you could get anyone to speak, he might. Yeah. But also like he lived rent free in this rapper's house. The rapper paid his bills. The rapper paid him to make music. Like would he turn on him? I don't know.
Right.
So I was like at a place where I was like uneasy. But we were at this party until the rapper walked in, and I left. I booked it, didn't even turn back, whatever. And the other roommate of his like followed me out. He said, where are you going? Now this isn't the one that would like check on me. It was just like another roommate who was always nice to me, never spoke to him, had no conversation with him, whatever. He's like, where are you going? It's like so early. I'm like, I don't want to be next to him. He's like, do you want me to drive you home? Like, let me drive you home. And I was like, okay, yeah, you could drive me home. Like he was nice, like whatever. This man was like 7 foot tall, by the way. Like that's very important for the story. So he's like, do you want food? Like I'll get you food. Like he's being very nice. I was like, yeah, like let's get food, and he'll drop me off. He took us to Wendy's. We picked up Wendy's. He took me to my Airbnb. He's like, can I come in? Like, do you need anything? Like, let me just come in, make sure you're okay. Came in, immediately tries to fuck me. And I was like, holy shit, I can't catch a break. And he was like, oh, like, did you want, like, you wanted me to come in? I'm like, no, like, I thought you were just like walking me to my door. And he was like, oh, like, I always thought you were attractive. Like, I never knew how he pulled you. Like, you deserve better. And I was like, yeah.
You deserve better. Meanwhile, you're just trying to do the same thing.
The same thing, yeah. And like he's like over, like he's huge, and I'm just kind of like, okay, like you could go now, like it's fine. He's like, do you want me to wait until like your friend's here? I don't want anything to happen to you. I was like, no, like it's fine, like you could go. And he's like, can I kiss you? Like I really want to kiss you. And I was like, no, like it's okay. He's like, just let me. And I was like, no. I was like, it's fine. He did it anyway. But with him, I was actually able to kind of like, listen, like get the fuck out or I'll call the police. And he's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, I'm being nice, I brought you food, like all for what? And I was like, I don't want to look at you, like leave. And he kind of like scoffed. He was just like, fuck you, like whatever, the rapper was right. And I was like, okay. I was like, you could go. And he left, whatever. Like I was able to like stand my ground. He left, and I was so proud of myself. Like I was able to do that, and I should have been able to do that with the said rapper, but I guess I just didn't know.
Right.
I feel like once I put the timeline together, that's when I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, no man should treat me like this. Like, this isn't normal. This isn't like an everyday thing. Right. And he went, I remember the minute he left, I blocked him on Instagram. I was like, I don't need him to try to reach out to me. Like, I was like, I blocked everyone. So about a year and a half or 2 goes by, and my brother calls me, and he's like, what the fuck? And now I'm confused. Like, it's been way past, I dropped the whole.
You like forgot about it.
I forgot about it. I was able to heal. Like, I was about to go in, I was in college. I was my sophomore year of college. I was over it. My brother calls me, and he's like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah. Like, I was like, what do you want? I was like, what happened? He's like, what did you do with him? I'm like, with who? And he named the rapper. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, he's telling me you guys like had like you guys were hooking up for a few months when you were like a child. Like, what the fuck? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I like acted clueless. He's like, well, he's telling me right now, and like, you're a fucking whore. My own brother. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm a whore, yes. I'm like, you're right. And he's like, I don't understand you. Like, I'm so embarrassed to have you as a sister. Like, these are people I work with. Like, what are you doing to him? Like, leave him alone. And I was like, no, like, what do you say? I was like, what is he telling you? Mm-hmm. He's like, he's told me like you guys were cooking up for a while and like you got crazy and like started making accusations about him. And apparently you have pictures of things and apparently it's hickeys. I'm like, do you want to see the pictures? He's like, I don't want to see them. I'm like, ask me for the pictures. Ask me for the whole fucking file I made. And then I want to hear what you have to say. And he's like, I don't want anything. I sent him the whole file. And
so at first when he called you, acted clueless, like you just didn't want to tell him?
I didn't want it to. I was like, maybe he doesn't even know. Maybe he's just kind of guessing. Mm-hmm. And I guess like he wasn't guessing. He was at this person's show in California.
I'm surprised the rapper would even tell him.
To me, I think he took it as like brownie points. He wanted to say like, oh, like I fucked your sister. Like your sister's like a cute one. Like I love your sister. Like I think he wanted some brownie points. I still don't know why it was told to him. Like I don't know. And whatever, I sent him the whole file. My brother just responded like, you're a slut, period. Like whatever. And at this point, I'm crying my eyes out. And my mom keeps asking me, what happened? What happened? Tell me who hurt you. And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, leave me alone. My brother begins to like harass me over text message. And I was like, you know what? I was like, if he think like, because he's convinced like this rapper is like the perfect angel. Like, you know, he makes money with him, like whatever it is. Like he was convinced like I was just lying. So I posted a TikTok and it went viral overnight. About all like this. Like I didn't like give any details whatsoever, but it pretty much insinuated like this man's a rapist.
Okay. Did you say his name in the TikTok?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Overnight went viral. Next day I woke up to over 15 DMs all about my friends, like whatever, this happened to her. Like he was from my hometown. Like he did this to this girl, message her. Or I had like a few girls who were kind of like smaller influencers in California, and they're like, listen, like this happened to us. Like I don't have any photo proof. If I did, I would have been to the cops. He would have been in jail. Like this happened to me too. If you need anything, I'm here, girl. Like they all gave me their numbers. Like they're being so sweet. Like these girls, they're like, we went through this too. So don't think that you're like in the wrong. Like you did nothing wrong. Whereas the comments on the TikTok were 50% those type of messages, 50% just like trolls. Right. Like you definitely wanted it. Like what clout do you want? You're like, you wanted it. Like just admit it. Like, and it was kind of split 50-50. The next day I get a text from the rapper on Instagram. What the fuck? Call me. And I'm like, I didn't answer him. My brother called me and he was like, delete that. I was like, no. He's like, delete that right now. I'm gonna go crazy. I was like, no. I'm like, just go look at the comments. And then once you told me you read them, I'll delete it. He's like, I'm not going to look now. And I'm like, okay. So I'm keeping it up. Next day he came back home and he comes into my room yelling at me. Of course, whatever. I'm just like, whatever. I'm crying my eyes out. And my mom is like, I don't understand what happened. And my brother's like, your daughter's a whore. And I was just kind of like, okay. Like, I just like was agreeing with him. I was like, I'm a whore. I'm a slut. I'm everything you want to call me. Like, I'm not having this conversation. Like, I didn't even want to tell my parents. Like, the thought of telling my parents was like the worst thing ever. Because in my head, it was like, if they know, I'm not going to be allowed to travel. I'm not going to get like any like kind of rights. Like, they're going to take my car away. Like, I just didn't want them to know. And also like the thought of saying it out loud and saying like, yeah, I was raped. I couldn't even say it. Yeah. So my brother, I guess, finally told my mom. And my mom comes into my room and she's like, why did you want to sleep with him? And I was like, I didn't want to. And then she's like, just like, tell me, like, I love you. Like, just tell me why. Like, why? Like, why did you want to do that? He's not Jewish. And I was like, I didn't want to do that. Like, I have all these, like, I could show you all the proof where I texted him that I didn't want to do this. And then she's like, just tell me the truth. I'm like, I'm telling you the truth. Like, I don't have to tell you. And now, like, my brother is like a mama's boy. Mm-hmm. So my mom will fight for him till.
So she would like believe him first.
Till today, she believes him. She has not accepted that it happened to me. But she kind of like was being really angry about it, whatever. And then my brother got home and went ballistic. I've never seen my brother this mad. Like I was like convinced he would do something to me. Like I was in shock. He got me a makeup desk when I was 13. He ripped it apart. All my makeup was, I have a video. Makeup's on the floor. He ripped up everything. He broke my bed. Like just like trashed my room. And he's like, just because you want to fucking lie about my friends, here you go. And I was like hysterically like crying in like my little sister's room. My dad came in, and at first he was like kind of mad. He's like, why the fuck wouldn't you tell us? Like, if it's true, why wouldn't you tell us? I was like, because it's not like something I wanted to say, one, and two, like I was so young and still in like my little influencer era or whatever. I was like, I was scared you wouldn't let me go on tour and do all these things. Like, I was just scared. And my dad was like at first like not believing me, but then like he went to go talk to my mom, and it was just like it was like war in my house for like 3 days straight. And finally, like, my dad came to me and he's like, don't tell your mom. I'm gonna fly you to LA. Go put in a if it's true, go put in a police report, and I want a copy of the police report, and that's all. The minute you do that, I'll believe you. And I was like, I want to wait a little bit, whatever. I went to a lawyer first. I went to this lawyer that was basically known for cases like this. She's known with like helping sexual assault survivors, especially with people who are in the press. And she was working on my case for a little bit, and she was very happy with my case. She's like, you have a lot of proof. Like, you have more than the average person,
right,
which
because you had messages and pictures, right?
I had pictures, I had messages, I had the urgent care report, even though it didn't have all the data. I had like the Instagram DMs, him reaching out to me, other girls that were reaching out to me. And I told my lawyer, I was like, I want to take this criminal. Like, I need there to be some sort of like consequence. She said the thing is, like, with criminal, it's so hard to win, especially with a rape case. It's like a he said, she said. Like, they're not going to believe you. If we win a civil case, then we could go criminal. And I was like, whatever that means, do it. She sent him about like 6 or 7 cease and desist letters, like saying, hey, you need to call our firm. Hey, like, get your lawyer to call us. He ignored every single one of them. She tried calling him, didn't answer. It went for about 6 months. And a few months later, she called me. I remember I was in class, and I like went out, and I was like, hey, like, what's up? Like, is everything okay? She's like, I have some like really bad news for you. And I kid you not, I thought she was gonna say he died, and I was gonna be so happy. I was like, is that the bad news? Like, that's good. I was like, that's a good reward. We don't need money. I was like, that's amazing. She's like, I have really bad news. I was like, what is it? And she was like, I'm gonna have to drop your case. And I was like, why? Like, did he say something? Like, why are you doing this? She was like, listen, like, I'm a lawyer. I need to make my money. And obviously, like, we respect what you've been through. Like, we will be here as a resource forever. But we just looked into his house, his cars, everything. Nothing's on his name. And I was like, okay, so can we just go criminal? Like, fuck that. Like, let's just go criminal. She's like, I wouldn't make money. She's like, criminal takes months, years. Like, it's not worth it for me to even take that case. I would say go to the police. So I was like, okay, like, I'll go to the police. I like emailed the police, like the sexual assault, like, I guess, officer, chief, and she told me fly in these days, and we're gonna do interviews, we're gonna do everything. I flew out.
So you had to do it in LA because it happened in LA?
And I couldn't even go to like Hollywood. Like, I had to go like Granada Hills, where he's from.
Got it.
So we had to go there. Me and Calvin went, and I came in with like all my proof on a flash drive, and I also came with like the sweater that he used to burn me like over, I guess. Like, I just came in with everything I had. I'm like, here's everything, do whatever you need with this. We sat for questioning, me and Calvin separately, together. We did about 4 days of questioning. And at this point, like, I'm still not talking to my brother. My mom doesn't know I'm in California. It's kind of like no one really knows anything. And he, I think, did know because he was trying to reach out for me to call him. And a part of me wholeheartedly believes like my brother was helping him like get away with it, because he knew exactly what to do to not respond.
Yeah.
And my brother told me from day one, like, I'm going to help him. Like, if you fucking sue him, I'm going to help him. Like, whatever you fucking do, watch out. Like, from that phone call that one day.
Were you and your brother close prior to this?
Oh, we were attached to the hip. He worked in the music industry. I did, like, the influencer stuff. Like, I would set up, like, brand deals for him and his artists with my friends. Like, all the collaborations. Like, when I was younger, I started a tour and a magazine. He was the one that signed off all the contracts because I was, like, 15.
Because you would think that even if you wanted it, you were still being taken advantage of, like, considering you were like,
he should be mad at his friend for
for even
his
going
baby sister.
For it. Yeah.
It
takes two.
Yeah. But
it's
my
not,
brother,
well, in your case, one, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, still.
He just, I think with my brother, it was like, oh, this is a connection in the music industry.
Money.
I do marketing, money. Like, this is how I make money for a living. And, like, I understand that fine. But, like, talking to me like that, calling me a slut, calling me a whore, whereas you should have been comforting me, saying, I'm sorry my friend did that. Like, and I told him, I was like, go to the DJ guy. Like, he will tell you everything. Like, he was checking up on me for months. Like, even after, like, he messaged me on Instagram, I think a year after, like, hey, how have you been? Mm-hmm. Like, are you doing okay? Like, he's always, like, he knows.
Right.
I guess he's used to, like, what this guy would do with girls. And he would be kind of, like, that person who would check up on them. And I went to the police. My brother was furious. My dad told me not to tell him. He found out. And it just kind of like the police tried reaching out to him many times. He wasn't answering. They tried calling everything. And I got a call from the police saying like, hey, he's not answering. So we need to send this to the DA's office. She evaluates the case. Once she does, she'll give us either like a warrant or close the case. But they told me like, you have like a good chance. Like her whole campaign when she ran for the position was like helping sexual assault survivors. Like I went to her website. She has like a whole division for it. Like I was like, oh, I'm good. Like I'm in good hands. It's a woman. That's like, it's not a white man. It's a woman. Like I think I'm in good hands.
Yeah.
About 6 months goes by. I call my lawyer, the police, and I'm like, hey, like, what's up? Like anything? Like, come on. Like, I don't understand. And she's like, oh, we haven't heard back yet. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's fine. I wait another 2 or 3 months and I get a call from the DA and she's like, hey, we're going to close your case. It's not, I'm also making it to that, like, you can't reopen the case. So even if you get more proof, whatever, we're not going to reopen it for you. And I was like, can't you just like close it and make, and like, if more victims come to you, like, oh, reopen the case? She's like, no, we're closing it for good. And then
Did she say why?
Nope. I couldn't even, I tried calling again. I tried calling the police department. I tried sending emails. They won't tell me why. That's just the answer she gave me. And I don't know why. Because, like, yes, I don't have, like, a video of, like, him obviously raping me. I didn't know it was going to happen. But I do have the screenshots of me telling him I didn't want to do it. I have the screenshots of me telling him, hey, this is making me uncomfortable. Him asking for my age over 15 times. Like, it's not like he didn't know my age or I was leading him on or whatever it is. He knew and, like, he just didn't care.
Right.
And, like, obviously the DA didn't care and the lawyers didn't care enough. And it left me in a place where I was, like, that's, I think, was, like, that was it for me. Like the minute I got the call from the DA's office, I remember I broke down crying, cried for days. I was hysterical. I didn't know what to do. I was like, wow, like no one believed me and now no one's going to believe me more. Yeah. Because if it happened, they should be arresting him or whatever it is. Like my dad even called me like a week after I put in the police report. He's like, so is he arrested yet? I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Because my dad just like, he's not from here, so he doesn't understand. He's like, oh, but he did this. Why isn't he arrested? I'm like, that's not how it works, unfortunately. Like there's a whole thing that has to happen. Yeah. So that like deteriorated my mental health. I remember like I was still getting like shit from my brother. Me and my brother's relationship since then, disgusting. Like it doesn't
even
exist.
To this day.
We now text in the family group chat, but I'll never text him. He'll never ask me to do him like a favor and like set him up with like a different like TikToker or something for a collab. Like that like ruined our like relationship completely. And
same with your mom pretty much.
My mom, me and my mom always had a bad relationship since I was like 13, but that definitely ruined it like to the maximum that it could be ruined. Like I just don't go to her anymore. Like that made me not want to ever go to them. Like God forbid something happens to me, I don't want to go to them. Yeah. Like my dad's always been my best friend. Like I think he definitely felt like what, like I was hysterically crying, having a panic attack. He's like, she can't be lying. Like, right. And he just didn't understand. He's like, why did you let him? Like, my dad was like asking the stupid questions, but also he doesn't know better. Like, he doesn't understand. Like, he's never had someone that's gone sexually assaulted. He doesn't know anyone. Like, he's not versed in, like, I guess that area of things. Like, he grew up in, like, a different country. Like, he just didn't understand. And it was just, like, a really upsetting situation. Right. I tried, like, it's not like I didn't try. Like, I went to the lawyers. I went to cops. I did whatever I needed to do, and no one cared. Like, yeah. I got no justice.
So did you end up ever deleting that TikTok?
No. And he messaged me to delete it and I didn't. And my brother tried making me delete it and I didn't.
Does he know that you went to like lawyers and cops?
Yeah, because my brother told him.
Okay. But like you and him have not had any contact.
He messaged me to call him that one day and after the TikTok. I have not talked to him since. He has me blocked.
So what have you been doing recently? Like, are you just like speaking about it on social media?
I became friends with a few of his other victims. Okay. I talked to them, not religiously, but we always kind of like interact with each other's posts. Yeah. It's like, hey, hope you're doing good. We still talk here and there. Like we kind of made it like a safe space for all of us. We just kind of talk about it. Like a lot of them still haven't gotten over it, which I don't blame them. Right. I think for me, like I thought I was over it until the DA called. And I was like, that's crazy. Like,
well, it just sucks because I think that no matter what, to feel like you're not believed and you have like no one to turn to. Like even if like he still didn't have any consequences, like legal consequences, it's like still to just have like your case just shut down and even your word shut down, like and have no support, literally even from family, I feel like is enough to just make you like go insane. You know what I mean? Because it's just like who who can you trust? Who can you turn to? Nobody. Yeah. And then it's like, why would anyone want to speak out if no one's going to believe you anyway?
Yeah, I think that's like the worst part of it, because it took me a long time to speak out. And then when I finally did, my family didn't believe me. The cops didn't, the lawyers. I even had like I lost my best friend because I caught her talking to one of her friends saying how it's definitely not true. She wanted it. And I'm like, why are you saying these things? And she's like, because you won't tell me anything. And I was like, I told you I was raped. That should be enough. She's like, why won't you tell me what happened? I was like, I don't want to talk about what happened. I like had to sit and repeat it 6 times to the cops. I had to call the lawyer 9 different times to recite the story in different ways. Like, I don't want to say what happened. Like, I even like right now, like, there was like what went down like the night he was trying to like force me to give him head, or like when he was trying to fuck, like that was like the worst nights of my life. And like I remember I was like trying to talk to the police, like trying to describe it, because they wanted like details, like which hand did you use? Do you remember what hand? Do you remember what hand he used? And I like had to like sit there and like imagine like his bed was this side and like where I sat. Like I had to go through like the worst details with the cops just for them to shut down the case and probably throw out the file. Yeah. So it's like, why would I sit here and tell you all this when I already have been telling the story for over like a year and a half to like cops, women, men? Like I had to say it to a man, and like that was like me. I just talking about that stuff to a man made me so uncomfortable.
Well, it's constantly reliving the same experience over and over as well.
Yeah. And like I had to tell my parents the story, and then my brother, like it's like I already said it so much. I was done. I was drained. I didn't want to say it again. I didn't want to. He got away with it, fine, whatever. Like, it already fucked me up enough. Like, I had to go back to therapy, and like every relationship I've been in since then has not been like healthy. Yeah. And I think like I'm one to like take accountability when it's needed. Like, I know where I fuck up in relationships, and it's like I don't trust anyone. Like, I will be like, oh, where are you? They don't answer me for 20 minutes. They're cheating on me. Right. They're out doing something else. Or like I remember when I first started seeing my first sexual partner, I dated her. I remember like she would do like little things that like I guess like not like to hurt me, like choke me, whatever. The minute her hand went to my throat, I literally started crying my eyes out. Yeah. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't know. Like I'm sorry. Right. Like it fucked up like, my whole perception of love. And like every relationship I get into, the minute I leave it, I need to be in another relationship because that's how I feel loved. Like all these things that I feel like are not normal that I do. And like I take accountability, of course, but it's fucked me up for the rest of my life. Right. Like I haven't been with a man since him either. Like the thought of like being with a man like scars me. Like I've just been like dating women. Like I went on a date with a man, wanted to kill myself. Like it was like I just was so uncomfortable. Like I feel safer with women, but I just like even then, like I know like I was on a date like a week or two ago. We were walking around Manhattan, and there kept being like loud noises, and I had a full-blown panic attack. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like even like not with relationships, like everything scares me. Right. And like I haven't gone to LA in a long time because the thought of seeing him makes me want to die. Right. Like he ruined California for me. He ruined relationships for me. He ruined like my mental health. Like he like fucked up my entire life. Right. And like now I'm in college, and when I was in my undergrad, I was very like scared about hooking up with anyone or seeing anyone. I was in like student government and like did all this stuff for like sexual assault awareness. And even then, like seeing how it doesn't work sucks. Like I remember I did a tabling for like sexual assault prevention. The only reason people showed up was because there was free pizza. Like you should care about sexual assault. Like it shouldn't be like a bribe. Like no one cares. And like it sucks. Like I know so many people who have been sexually assaulted like multiple times, whatever it is, and they just don't speak out because they see my experience or they see other people like get away with it.
And the thing is too is it happens all the time. Yeah. And it happens to your normal everyday people. And the thing is too is I feel like in a situation like this, when it is somebody that has, you know, fame, you're going to feel even more, I feel like, scared and cautious to come out of it because what people might think. Like even you posting about it online and having half the people say like, we're here for you. And then the other half saying either you're a liar or a clout chaser, this, that, and the other. It's like, why would you even want to speak out? It's almost like you want to like go back into your shell and just like forget about it. But you're never going to forget about it. It's always going to be there. And I feel like it is something that should be spoken out about, you know, and it makes it difficult because it's one of those things that like, unfortunately, most of the time people are skeptical and don't believe it. And like, I always look at it like this, like, and I feel like the way that you've told your experience has been very, I feel like, kind, because like there's people that could come on here and just like, I feel like full blown just like bash someone, but I feel like you don't do that. I feel like you're like, I mean, like you also, I feel like, I don't want to say take responsibility, but you tell it in a way of like, this is how I was viewing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel like, I don't know, I just think that it's sad because people never really believe it when people come out about these kind of things, but your truth, like, it's your truth. You know what I mean? So, like, whatever your perception is that happened, not saying people should go around and ever say, like, somebody raped me if they didn't, or, like, they think they did, but they might not have. Who knows? Because it's such a fine line all the time. Yeah. But I feel like your perception is your reality. And if by any means you felt like you didn't want something and somebody forced themselves on you, that's your reality. Yeah. So it just bothers, like, I feel like if somebody is skeptical about anything in life, don't say anything. Yeah. Just don't respond to it. But, like, at the end of the day, that's what happened to you. Yeah. And I just think that it's extremely unfortunate that so many people don't get justice and that you didn't. And I think the best thing that you can do is speak out about it. You know, I mean, that's what else can you do? You know what I mean? That's
like all that there is left. Like, I just like hate that he doesn't get any consequences. Yeah. And it's like, he was smart by like not having any of his shit under his name. Like, nothing will be taken away from him and he'll continue to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, one of the girls that messaged me, it happened to her a year ago. It happened to me when I was 15. I'm 21 now. Right. So he's still doing it. Mm-hmm. It's not like he stopped or he got scared. Like, he's still doing it and he'll never get the consequences for it. And like, I'm lucky enough to have these messages saved and these photos and whatever it is. And like, as bad as it sounds, but these girls like didn't think that it was going to happen for them. They didn't take photos. They didn't.
I mean, when you're in the moment of anything, I don't think anybody's thinking
exactly.
You know, let me record this.
Exactly. Like, if I knew it was gonna happen, I would have recorded it. Like, and just gone to the cops right from there. And a big thing that I regret is not doing a rape kit. But in my head, it was like, I'm 15. Aren't they gonna notify my parents if I go do it? Yeah. That was like my perception of it. I was like, let me not do it because if my parents know, I'm fucked.
Well, I think too, there should be, because of how often things like this happen and get brought up, there should be more, I think, steps that are taken on those people's ends of like, we should suggest this. Because like I said, like, you know, at 15, 16, how much do you really know about a rape kit? Yeah. You know what I mean? How much do you know to ask for that? Like, maybe now, experiencing what you've been through, if God forbid something ever happened to you again, you might ask for one. Yeah. But like, at that age, it's like, how do you really know?
I didn't know it existed.
Right. It's 15. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's almost like those should be steps that are taken on the ends of like the people in, you know, at, where'd you go, urgent care and stuff like that.
To take like, the notes that
right, and that too. And I just feel like those things, it's so crucial that those things are written down and notes are taken and even things are suggested to you, you know, so that you have some sort of knowledge. Because if not, how are you gonna, you don't even know what happened, basically, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, it's really insane to me that the only thing you can do, I feel like, for so many things in this world is like you said, to build a community of other people and almost like fight it on your own, because who else do you have?
It just like sucks because like now that like this happened to me, I've been trying to find resources and like I'm open about things that happen to me. That's one thing. Like, I'll never just be quiet. Like, after it all went down, I was like, you know what, let me be open about it. And like, I did research and like, there really isn't like, no one teaches you this in like high school or college. Like, there should be a course where they tell you like, these are like during like sex ed, like, this is what a rape kit is. Like, this is what right. I didn't know what a rape kit was until I saw it in like a show on Netflix, like one of like the doctor shows. I shouldn't have to learn from like a show. Yeah. I should kind of be told it, or like, I don't know. Like, I just think it's so upsetting because if I knew it, like I was able to do it and my parents weren't able to find out, I would have done it. Right. Also, I think like,
well, because at urgent care, if you were told that you were raped, you would think that they would.
Yeah, I remember she told me, she was like, "Oh, are you gonna keep it?" And I was like, "No, it wasn't consensual." Mm-hmm. And then she's like, "Oh, my bad," and didn't ask any. I feel like there should be questions.
Right, exactly.
And if I wanted to answer, I would have been like, "Hey, I don't want to answer," but
it should that's what I was saying. Like, I feel like to some extent, it should be not pushed, but like there should be questions. Yeah. People should kind of poke it and try to help somebody rather than just like, oh, let me not, you know, say anything.
Like, I think like she wasn't well trained. Like, it should have been in the notes, even like if not to put down rape, like, oh, like patient said it was unconsensual, period, 3 words. But no, she just wrote pregnancy test negative. That was it. And I didn't know because I reached out for like the police like, to get the whole report.
How long ago was the case closed?
A while. I want to say about 1.5 years ago. But then like I went to the police and it wasn't closed for like 1.5 years later. Like, they just held my case and like nothing was moving. Like, it was just like every time I called for an update, like, no update, we sent another letter.
Right.
And it's like, why isn't he opening that? Like, just like, if someone murders someone and you send a letter and they don't answer, they didn't murder someone. They got away with, like,
right.
Just because he's not answering,
it's just not taken seriously.
Yeah, like, bring him in for questioning. Just ask him, like,
which they never did,
language.
right?
No.
Okay.
No, they told me that he needed to come in himself because they don't have a warrant. They can't force him to come.
Got it.
And at one point, the police was even like entertaining the idea of like, oh, like if you have a friend that he could admit the rape to, I'm like, he's not gonna admit that he raped me to anyone. He's like, you don't have a friend that like he would trust and like just tell him. I'm like, I was like, a rapist is not gonna say they raped someone.
What are you supposed to solve the whole case yourself?
That's what I'm like. I was like, you could like put like we could get you a mic. I'm like, I'm not like building like this isn't like a movie. Like if you want to do that, you go in and do that. Why am I gonna have to do that?
Right.
Like it started feeling like a joke. Like at that point, like when they were like just not doing anything and saying, hey, if you could just get him to admit it. I was like, a week ago you told me not to contact him.
Yeah.
Like, and that day that he texted me, hey, call me, a part of me wishes I did. Because I know that if I did and recorded it, he would have admitted to something where it showed like he had like sexual relations with a minor. Like I know he doesn't think before he speaks. I know I could have gotten him to say stuff, but like my lawyer and the cop said, don't call him. That's it. From this point on, do not contact him. And I did what they said. And like it just sucks because like I wish I did call him just so I could get like any type, because I know he would have been like maybe like, oh, like I did this but I thought you wanted it. Like that alone would have been like, oh, he had sex with a minor.
Right.
And like they told me like I think everything the lawyer did really did fuck me over because she held my case for a year and then let go of it. That whole year I could have been at the police, but then they held my case for a year and a half and didn't do anything. Yeah. So it's like they were just playing around with me basically, and I felt like it wasn't taken seriously. I felt like they really didn't care. Like the police, especially when they like closed my case, they didn't say anything. They just said, hey, sorry. Whereas like the lawyer was like, listen, we have resources for you, like the bare minimum. But the police closing it is just like the worst, because once they did, no one will take my case like lawyer wise. Like, oh, the police closed it, we're not going to take your case. Like it's done. It's a done deal.
Yeah. So and basically that's where it is now.
It's just, it's closed, done. He still, I know, sees minors all the time. I know he badmouths me. My brother saw him a few months ago, so they're still in contact. I'm kind of like, I have that TikTok up, still gets views. I still get the comments where it's like, why'd you go back the second time? Like, I don't believe it. And that's like pretty much it. Like I tried, I told my story. I went to the cops. I went to a lawyer. Like people were saying like, hey, don't waste the cops' resources. Don't tell them a lie. I'm like that's a felon. Like lying about something that, like I wouldn't just go if it wasn't true. Right. Like everyone just has like their own.
That's right. It's a lot of your time too. You sat. Yeah.
Like I skipped classes. Like in college, if you miss 2-3 classes, you're getting an F in the class. Like it's, and you know, I did all this. I wasted my time, money. I paid for my flights. Like my hotels to California. Like I did all this. I wasted all my time for him to get any, like even if he just got like something on his record, or like if they gave me a restraining order, they didn't want to give me one. Like we don't do that. Like go to someone else. And like,
and it's sad too, because it's like it even your story, I feel like that this is why so many people don't want to speak up, because they just don't think it's worth it. But like I said, I feel like the only thing you can do is at this point, unfortunately, because it's something, but it's not enough, but like build a community for yourself. Because I feel like at this point, the only thing you can work on is yourself and your mental health. And like you said, like through therapy and things like that, it's like you have to build yourself back up and get to a place where it's like, okay, I know this happened to me. I know this is a serious fucking problem in the world that nothing is done. But all I can do is almost like build a community, talk about it, make sure that, I guess too, if other people even felt like to some degree that you could help them, you know, just even feel heard, because even, you know, firsthand how it feels not even to feel heard through your family. Yeah. So it's like, you get it. But it's just like, I just can't believe that nothing's done. And it happens so often.
Some of the comments on my TikTok were even like, when I was this age, my boyfriend did, like some people were just like coming out about their stories in my comments, and like just reading that, it's just like, and like I bet their parents don't know, like they're scared for the same reaction I had. Like no one will ever know. They're
scared. They don't think anybody's gonna help them, and most of the time they don't get help. Yeah. So it's just it's horrible, but I think it's so important it's talked about, because I do think, and I always say, the more that something is brought to light, like, and obviously yours is about a specific person, but it's like the more that this is brought to light that not enough is done,
no one will do anything.
Right.
I think like like a lot of people know what happened to me, and like I'm public about like me going to the cops, to the lawyer, nothing happening, and all the comments are just like, this is why we're like, no one goes, like this is exactly why, like
that's what I'm saying. One believes it. Yeah, and it's like if there, like you said, if there was any sort of care, like even if they were able to do, I feel like a restraining order or even put something on his record or like question him, at least
bring
then,
him in,
right? At least then you would know that okay, they tried something, because like I said, at the end of the day, if you feel like, and this goes for anyone, if you feel that something was forced on you and it made you uncomfortable and this, that, and the other, and like I think that they always, like cops and lawyers or whoever else, they're always like kind of try to not twist it, but be like, well, why did you answer the text?
Like
or
my
why
lawyer
did
asked me that. She's like, can I know why? And I'm like, I don't know.
I just feel like it wasn't not enough. Like the age thing, was that not,
it was like so off.
Even
like,
that's what I'm saying. Even for your brother, it's like, was that not enough for someone to be like, well, like maybe the older person should have known a little better, or not?
Let's say even if I did feed, like I told my brother, let's say I in a world where I fed into it.
So you were stalking him. Yeah, like it doesn't,
I was 15. Like you're believing like a 22-year-old over a 15-year-old.
People should know better. Yeah.
Until you're my brother.
Right.
Like you're my brother. Like you should be on my side regardless. It should not even be a thought in your head.
Yeah.
To even like, you know, like you could be upset for a moment. Like I was hoping so bad. Like he yelled at me. I'm like, you know what, let me wait a little bit. He'll call back later and apologize. Yeah. I was like, he's gonna call back, whatever. Entire day, the whole night, he was calling me a slut, a whore over text, like cursing me out. And I was like, you're really, and I sent him the pictures of the bruises. I'm like, look, like, does this look like a hickey to you? He's like, I don't care. Like, don't send that shit to me. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like I'm offering you the proof that you don't believe in.
Right.
Like here's videos, recordings, like screenshots, whatever it is, and you don't want to believe it. So I have nothing else to say to you. And like, I guess like that wasn't enough. Whereas like, I don't know, like I think it's crazy that I had all that proof and like he wasn't questioned. Like that drives me crazy.
Oh, I'm sure. And it's like on top of everything that happened with that, the fact that it drove such a wedge between you and your brother doesn't make it any easier at all. It's just like adds to it, which is just heartbreaking and terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that you wanted to come on here and talk about it and share your story, because of course, because they're really, like I said, there's so many people that, I mean, even like you said, people in relationships, like it happens all the time. And it's just brushed under the rug constantly. So I think, like I said, it always needs to be brought to light. And I think especially too, when it is somebody that has more, I guess, fame and power, it can be even more of a difficult situation and scarier. And for even more reasons that I feel like people wouldn't even get, like, you know, I feel like you would have to kind of post on social media and know to understand that split 50-50 of like people being on your side and then people making you feel like you shouldn't even be living, you know what I mean? And I get it. Like we've people that have been online, like they will understand that. So I think that it was really important too, that was kind of like an aspect in your story, because it shows the difference even on top of everything else. But seriously, thank you so much for sharing it. And I'm so sorry that happened. It's horrible. And it's even more horrible that our world and society is a place where it's like, that doesn't, like, people have no support and help. So hopefully you're a step to change. Seriously. Hopefully. And that's how I would look at it. I always tell people that, like, coming out and talking about something, no matter what it is, it's like, it might seem like not much, but it's always like one step to, because it's like I said, the more people that speak out about things, the more awareness it brings to it, which is unfortunately all we can do, but it's something, you know? So, but thank you. You did amazing.
Thank you.